Hi, Will from MusicTech here at the NAMM show with Ralph from Nektar. Ralph, you've got something pretty exciting for us here. Can you tell us what it is exactly?
Well, yeah, it's Aura, what we call the Nektarine Beat Composer. It's first and foremost, of course, a USB MIDI pad controller with really, what we call hypersensitive, trust me, hypersensitive pads. And then all sorts of other controls. You have these really high quality pots up here that can do all kinds of things from controlling plugins, because that's what we're going to look at in the demo, to navigating your DAW projects, because we also have DAW control. And what really got the buzz going for Aura at the show, I think, is that we've built a hardware sequencer in. So you can use this pad controller either with the computer setup running VST, VST3 and AU plugins, but also standalone. So on another station, we're actually running Aura as, the sequencer brain for a Vermona analog drum sound module.
So you could literally use, it could be the studio centerpiece, and you're using it to control your software, using it to control your hardware. It's the brain of your studio, basically. That's right.
Well, I mean, for drums.
And
why we call the Nektarine Beat Composer is Nektarine is our plugin host that loads in almost any DAW. It's AAX compatible even.
Right. Okay.
You have VST, VST3, and AU as well.
Let's jump right in then, because we want to see it being used.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving in closer as you requested. You see that we have this nice large color display. On the display, you always see what the pots are assigned to. You have a lot of setup options for the pads. You can change MIDI nodes. You can change their velocity response, and the pads are not just velocity, sensitive. They also have they're pressure sensitive.
Okay.
Let me repeat that. The pads are not just velocity sensitive, they're also pressure sensitive. But let's move to the cool thing, which is the hardware sequencer, because probably also it's much more fun to listen to something rather than hear me talk. So for each pad, we have one sequence. It's a little bit like similar to these. Just let me stop that real quick. Like for a modular synth, you have these little 16-step sequences that can only do one line. A bit similar. So each of these pads can control one of these sequencers.
And how long is each sequence?
Each of these sequences can have up to 64 steps.
Okay. Or
16 times 4, and these variations you can either run through or switch between them and so on.
So very powerful. Yeah.
Each of these pads can also have a different length sequencer, so polyrhythms. So let's go to the snare drum and change the last step, which is the 4th knob. So now I set that to 7, and we have jazz. I mean, it's so easy. So just one button press and you're in jazz mode. You can key in the other pads. You can build really complex beats. Add these pads, mute them and solo them. You really want to have a look at that in a more quiet environment, I guess, than right here. But what I want to show you, Nektarine, right now we're controlling one multi-sound plugin that is like a complete drum kit, like an old Roland drum machine. I mentioned plugin remote control. I press the plugin button, and now the 8 pods actually allow me to change the sound parameters for each of these channels, because we're including a lot of maps, a lot of plugin maps for all kinds of plugins. And you can also make your own. It's really simple. So on the left you see the parameters that a plugin exposes. You can drag them to the knobs, they're instantly assigned. You can build really complex maps. So we see that this plugin has lots of pages. You just press menu, and then you can go to the whatever, what is this? The rim shot. And then you control the rim shot. So you can control even synthesizers with thousands of parameters just from these 8 buttons.
And one of the smart things with
buttons,
pods. One of the smart things with a lot of the Nektar stuff is how well it integrates with DAWs. So
that's right.
What's going on here in that sphere?
I can show you. So I booted Bitwig for you, and Nektarine that I was just running in standalone mode before is now running as a VST or AU plugin inside Bitwig. What I didn't mention before is that you can actually do most operations from the hardware. So the plugin that we just used before, I can just click browse on the unit, and I can select it because we have a really powerful patch database integrated into Nektarine. So we can not only build plugin maps easily, we can also take care of all of our patches. And see, and you have all kinds of tags, and you can define your own categories. So you can navigate vast libraries of thousands of patches right here while you're building your beat. So the DAW integration that you were asking about, for this product, we focus on the essentials. So you hit the DAW button on the hardware, and now the 8 pods are assigned to loop length, tempo, foot switch, track selection. So, I don't really have many tracks in my demo project here. It's not that impressive, but it's number 5. So see, I can just go through the track list from the hardware, and also I can open and close plugin windows.
You can do all of that from the controller itself.
Absolutely. But the real key is that, of course, it's not that special that you can load one plugin and then have your beat playing. You can load up to 16 plugins, 1 per pad, and build really complex kits. So you can build completely new drum sound combinations from the plugins you already own, and might actually end up with stuff that you never thought of doing, With this new version of Nektarine, you can now also load effects. So using the same browse mechanism, let me just switch over to plugin control again. I can activate the effect slots, go to browse, and now I'm loading a medium room reverb, which will now grace our complete drum kit with instant control from the hardware. So it's really quite seamless. It's really tight, the integration, but we're focusing more on what do you need for the beatbox. I mentioned that it's a hardware sequencer, so the start-stop operations for the sequencer are independent of what you do with the DAW. So I can hit play on the DAW control bar. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. You can move the loop stuff around and so on, which has nothing to do with sequencers. You can trigger the sequencer independently. And then, of course, you can record all of the sequencer data into your DAW.
Okay, so any sequence you have on the hardware itself, you can just fly it out to the DAW.
And we also have a powerful repeat engine, pad repeat. Well, so Aura will be shipping in March. It's $349. And what it's going to give you is a powerful MIDI pad controller, built-in hardware sequencer with the nice traditional 16-step interface, DAW control, hardware repeat engine, so with very flexible parameters. You have a physical MIDI out, so you can run it in standalone mode.
Oh, great, okay.
You have 2 foot switch inputs. You can also assign, say, a MIDI node to the foot switch, so you could trigger a kick drum from a foot switch if you so wish. Yeah. And the Nektar DAW integration, maybe I should mention that, for the first time now includes Ableton Live Suite.
So it's compatible with Ableton Live then?
That's right, so we now made special software for Ableton Live Suite to do DAW control. And of course we have Bitwig, we have Cubase, we have Logic, we have Studio One, we have Digital Performer, Reaper.
And so $349?
$349, shipping in March.
Shipping in March. Ralph, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cheers.